want you to, tomorrow, if you can't go tonight, go by a grocery store, pharmacy, and look at the ingredient list of baby formulas. Remember, human beings need 90 essential nutrients, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 fatty acids. And to date, there's no baby formula that has more than 5 minerals in it. Most of them have only 3. Where are they going to get the other 57? Now, they had a chance when mother was breastfeeding them, because whatever she would eat would come through the breast milk. Let's say she only got 32 minerals instead of 60. It was better than 3. Okay? And so we got the selenium in there, and we're so excited about that because this can eliminate SIDS, it's going to eliminate cystic fibrosis, it's going to eliminate muscular dystrophy. Now what's going to happen in 10 years, they're not going to say, well, Wallach was right. By golly, by gosh. No, what they're going to say is, we no longer have SIDS, cystic fibrosis, muscular dystrophy, because the aliens from planet ZZ115 require that gene for survival. So they came down and abducted all the human beings with that gene, so we're not going to see this disease anymore. That'll be a cover article on the National Enquirer, and everybody will know it'll be true. Just like the aluminum thing and Alzheimer's disease. These are the sort of kids we've been doing autopsies on in that study in Keyshawn Province. Fred Kern, medical doctor on the staff at the medical school at the University of Colorado, published this, actually it was a letter to the editor of the New England Journal of Medicine, March 1991. He was showing a half a dozen newly graduated doctors from medical school there at the University of Colorado how to examine seniors. He found this chart of an 80-year-old guy who's coming in for his annual physical. Well, this guy has lots of infirmities, let's go see him. And so they go into the room, and they're looking at him, staring at him, and he's kind of quizzical a little bit, and Dr. Kern says, sir, is this you? Is this your name? He said, yes, sir. And they open up and they look at all the data in there. They got the blood work they'd done earlier that morning and say, oh, well, your blood work here says everything's normal. You don't have anything going on. He said, no, I'm perfectly healthy. I just come in once a year for a physical. And that's your birthday? Yeah. I said, I'm 88. He said, well, what do you attribute your youthful looks to? And the doctor thinks Dr. Kern's going to say, well, my brothers are like that. My grandma's like that. Good genes. Instead, he says, I eat 25 eggs a day. And that's not what he wanted these newly graduated doctors to hear. And so this was not in this letter to the editor, but I guarantee this is what happened. He sits down, talking about Dr. Kern, takes his clipboard, now he's fanning himself because he's sweating bullets. He says, okay, why do you eat 25 eggs a day? This guy jumps up, throws his chest out, his shoulder back, says, because it makes me more studly. Studly. Okay? Now, I want you to appreciate that testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and adrenal hormones are steroid hormones. They're the only 4 steroid hormones in the body. They're 95% by weight cholesterol. Cholesterol is the center of the whole thing, and there's little carbon units attached to it. That's what makes it these various hormones. It's 95% cholesterol. So you go on a cholesterol-restricted diet, you're dutifully eating egg white omelets and egg beaters. You're using margarine instead of butter. Using dairy creamer instead of cream. You're inflaming your arteries, getting heart disease. You're getting low T. You're going to have the raw materials for the equipment to work. Okay? You're getting ED. But the pharmaceutical companies are happy because they get to make Viagra and Cialis. Now women are starting to get menopause at age 35. I'm getting hundreds of calls every month now. Women who are in their early 30s. Doc, I don't know what's wrong with me. I've been taking this stuff, forever, and I haven't had a period in 2 years. I've gone through 5 husbands. I have hot flashes and night sweats. I think I'm going through menopause. I'm only 32 years old. And I ask him one question: are you on statin drugs? And they immediately jump all over me on the phone. Well, women get heart attacks too, you know. They're taking statin drugs. Well, the worst of the worst thing that happened is that Alzheimer's disease was caused when they demonized cholesterol. It's a cholesterol deficiency. We'll go into the details in a moment. There's Ansel Keys on the left, 1961. He was put on the cover of Time magazine as the savior of the American heart because he was the one who identified cholesterol and saturated fat as the demons that cause cardiovascular disease. He even looks like a Nazi. And then, that middle time cover, 1984, is a paid full cover ad to demonize cholesterol for the Procter & Gamble. And here comes June 2014. Eat butter! Scientists labeled saturated fat the enemy and why they were wrong. It's 5 pages on the Ansel Keys story and how he brokered the deal between Procter & Gamble and the American Heart Association. So it was not only in the Wall Street Journal, it was a 5-page article in Time magazine, June 2014. Now, here's the problem. I said it in 1971. Everybody laughed at me. Okay, well, here's the problem. I guarantee you, some of you in this room are on statin drugs. Did your doctors send you an email saying, stop taking the statin drugs?
I switched doctors and they told me to get off them.
That's good. Get off them. Okay. The culture on Earth that has the lowest rate of cardiovascular disease, almost no strokes, almost no heart attacks, are the Inuit Eskimos above the Arctic Circle. Their traditional diet above the Arctic Circle is 98% red meat and fat. They eat nothing but whale meat, whale blubber, walrus meat, walrus blubber, seal meat, seal blubber, bear meat, bear fat. They don't eat vegetables, they don't eat fruit, they don't eat nuts, they don't eat grain. Their blood cholesterol range from 350 to 500. This is published 8 or 10 times, 12 times some years, the last 25 years in medical journals. And doctors don't pay attention to it because they're getting too much money from the pharmaceutical companies to keep prescribing statin drugs. That's $1 trillion business, statin drugs. And it and the diet is the cause of Alzheimer's disease, and low T, and erectile dysfunction, menopause, and so on. My grandma went through menopause in 3 seconds when she was 70 years old. She never had any hot flashes and night sweats. What's the matter with you, girl? What's the matter? Salt has nothing to do with high blood pressure. Salt has 2 essential nutrients, sodium and chloride. Sodium is one of the most important minerals you need in your body because your DNA won't work without it as a cofactor.
That's right.
And any doctor who tells you to cut back and restrict salt should be put in jail. Say he must be a Nazi. Okay, 1982, cover story Time magazine against salt and a new villain. September 2014, salt doesn't cause high blood pressure. Why is there so much heart disease and death in here?
Because we're rich.
Fried foods! All you have to do is find out where all the Church's fried chickens are, all the Bojangles are, all the Popeyes, all the KFC.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that something? Heart disease.
But, you know, just look at that.
It'll last nothing. Yeah. Hawaii. Yeah.
Whatever happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas.
That's right.
February of 2012, the FDA sent every medical doctor licensed in America an email, an urgent stop email. This is June, I'll get to this in a second. And okay, at any rate, February 2012, FDA sent all the medical doctors licensed in America an urgent email, urgent stop. It said, urgent stop. Stop prescribing statin drugs, lower cholesterol. Second paragraph, urgent stop. Stop telling your patients to eat a cholesterol-restricted diet. Urgent stop, paragraph 3. If you continue to prescribe statin drugs and tell your patients to be on a cholesterol-restricted diet, you'll increase the risk of type 2 diabetes by 52% and Alzheimer's disease by 100%. That was February 2012. Well, this is June 2012. 4 months later. 6 months later. 4 months later, yeah, okay. Good cholesterol not so beneficial. What? My doctor said good cholesterol is everything. Huh. Then the subtitle is higher HDL, high density lipoprotein, good cholesterol. High good cholesterol levels don't reduce heart attacks. Well, that's because there's no heart attacks, there's no cardiovascular disease that's associated with cholesterol or saturated fat. Congestive heart failure is deficiency of a single vitamin. Cardiomyopathy heart disease is deficient in a single mineral. Coronary artery disease is inflammation caused by eating fried foods and oils and that kind of stuff. And coronary thrombosis is caused by an omega-3 essential fatty acid deficiency or ratio problem between omega-3 6 is 9. Which one is caused by cholesterol? None. It was a sales campaign to sell Crisco. Get over it. So, you want to kill your kids, keep doing what you're doing. They come home from school, they're dunking their Oreo cookies with a margarine in the middle, which is margarine, they just didn't color it yellow.
Oh, yes.
And so, that's why it never goes bad, okay? They're dunking it in fat-free milk, and then they use margarine to melt on their toast in the morning for breakfast, or put it on their pancakes and waffles, and they fry their eggs in it.
But
Now, don't fry in butter, but you can use butter, but don't fry it. You can bake in it, you can melt it and pour it on, but don't fry it. Okay, after we won January 2015, to get selenium into baby foods, Enfamil, Similac, and Gerber's, we sent the FDA another letter. We're going to sue you again. It'll be number 10. We're going to sue you over the trans fats in foods. Because I've been yelling about that since 71. I said it in 71. Nobody pays attention. And so they sent out this news release hoping to dissuade us. In June of 2015, they say trans fats, transition. No. Some popular foods that must shed their trans fats within 3 years. Well, there's thousands of people dying every day in that 3 years. The fortunate thing about it, there's no statute of limitations on murder, is there? So we're going to go after them for murder this time. Okay. Margarine sticks such as Bluebonnet and Land O'Lakes, cake mix such as Duncan, Heinz, and Betty Crocker, frozen desserts such as Marie Callender's frozen pies, microwave popcorn such as Jolly Time and Jiffy Pop, Bisquick mixes of all kinds, and canned frostings. Those are just some of the few of the worst offenders of trans fats. And oils, coconut oil, salad dressings, mayonnaise, peanut butter, things like any of these, olive oil, microwave popcorn, which has margarine in the bag. That's what heats up when you put it in the microwave. Okay. You gotta stop feeding your kids and grandkids this stuff. They will die, and you will have to be standing graveside burying them if you keep feeding them this stuff.
I thought coconut oil was a good thing.
BAM! You're dead. Coconut oil, you might as well shoot yourself in the head and get it over painless and quickly. Why suffer with cancer and all kinds of other diseases when you don't have to, right? When cardiovascular disease, use coconut oil. Rub it on your skin, lay in the sun. BAM! You're dead. Okay, how many of you that exercise is good for you? Raise your hand. Whether you believe it or not. If you don't you don't raise your hand, you're lying. Okay, let's have a look here. You take all professional athletes of all sports, the average lifespan is 62, except for football players. Professional football players are 51, according to actuaries for life insurance policies. And there's never been a professional athlete ever lived to be 100. Now these guys some of them, the top ones get paid $5-10 million a game. I mean, they have massage therapists just walking around with them and just massaging them all the time. They get the best food, they get the best personal trainers, they drink all kinds of weird stuff, their life is perfect. It'd be like somebody who loves to knit being paid $5 million every day to knit somebody a sock. Your hobby. Getting paid $5 million to do your hobby? You gotta be kidding me. And yet, not one of them's ever lived to be 100. Their average lifespan is 62, except for the football players, 51. So what's going on here? Well, Jim Fixx was the darling of the medical system because some of you old never remember Jim Fixx.
Yeah.
He was a professor of economics at Yale, I think. And he drops dead while he's running. Well, before he dropped dead, he was interviewed. He was winning all these long distance running things, 440s and half miles and marathons. He was a very famous runner. He was interviewed on TV, and they said, "Well, do you take any vitamins?" He said, "Oh, no. You're wasting your time and money. Just run. Keep your arteries clean." Well, the doctors loved him, and then he dropped dead at 52 from a cardiomyopathy heart attack, a simple deficiency of that mineral. With his protege, his top student, Brian Maxwell from Canada. I was actually there in Canada when it happened. Char and I were there. This is March of 2004. He had 12 gold medals, long distance running. 3 were in the Olympics. The others were in the Ironman competition, World Games, and stuff. A very, very well known runner. He invented the power bar, and Nestle's paid him $300 million for the rights to sell the power bar. $300 million for a granola bar. And then 3 months later, he drops dead of a cardiomyopathy heart attack while he's running. See, it says, I love this title, Heart Attack Claims Another Fitness Guru. He's not a fitness guru anymore. He's just goo. Reggie Lewis survived his first cardiomyopathy heart attack at age 28 during a playoff game with the Charlotte Hornets, 1994, I believe. And he was treated by the top cardiologist in America, maybe the world, who was also the head of the Department of Cardiology at Harvard Medical School. He was the cardiologist for NASA. He was a cardiologist for the NBA. And he told Reggie all he could do for 3 months was to just underhandedly, the only exercise he could do is throw free throws very gently, underhanded. And he prescribed him 3 heart drugs. 2 weeks later, he dies of his second cardiomyopathy heart attack because nobody gave him that 10 cents worth of those minerals. Well, a year and a half later after Reggie dies, the cardiologist, this world-famous cardiologist, W. Thomas Nessa, died at age 48 with a cardiomyopathy heart attack while he was running. He ran the Boston Marathon 20 times. Didn't help him any. Bam! He was dead. I love it. Front page story, Boston Globe. If I was his family, I'd be embarrassed to tears. Top cardiologist dies of a heart attack from a simple nutritional deficiency at age 48. Uh-oh, Houston, we have a problem here. This fellow here on the left, 16 years old, Wes Leonard, had just won a sudden death playoff. This was an international story because of this. He won a sudden death playoff by getting the tip off, taking 10 giant steps, slam dunking it, and his team in Fenville, Michigan, won the semifinals in the western half of Michigan. There was another semifinals game going on that night in the eastern half of Michigan. The winners would play each other and come up with the state champions, right? So anyway, he slam dunks it, so they win instantly 54-52. Took 10 seconds, and he won the game. This is 3 seconds later, this picture was taken. His 4 teammates on the court, the others, the bench hadn't even gotten up yet. This happened so quickly. There's 4 teammates are trying to raise him up to their shoulders because he just won the semifinal with that 2-pointer. There's 10,000 people in that basketball stadium. And he drops dead of a cardiomyopathy heart attack in front of 10,000 people, age 16. Now, remember, this is 2011. The county examiner who did the autopsy on him said, we don't understand why he died. It may have been the stresses of athletics on his heart. And he didn't take 2 seconds and Google cardiomyopathy heart disease. But it said he had cardiomyopathy heart disease. But he didn't say, what caused it? Nothing. See, this pathologist should go to jail for life because every kid who dies of that from now on, that was an international story. I guarantee if he'd have said what that mineral was, every grandma would be buying this stuff by the ton and making sure their grandkids got it. This girl on your right, Renella Pierce, 19 years old, 6'5", was going to be the top woman athlete in the 21st century. She played many sports, soccer, baseball, softball, basketball, track. She was just great in many sports, great athlete. She drops dead during a regular season game with the Florida, Gators or Seminoles, Florida Seminoles, okay? And she died of a ruptured aortic aneurysm, a deficiency of a single mineral. That mineral deficiency also causes varicose veins, hemorrhoids, which varicose veins are funny place, spider veins, and aneurysms. A doctor says she had a genetic disease called Kawasaki's disease, because babies are born with these aneurysms. Well, it's not a genetic disease. The mother had a deficiency of that mineral, and when the baby's forming, the elastic fibers in the artery didn't form, so it has aneurysms. Now, if they got those babies before they die, it's because they don't have anything wrong with them, right? Because they don't do ultrasounds in normally babies if they're born apparently normal. If they had seen that aneurysm, with an ultrasound, but they didn't. These babies died, they were doing it on, so, oh, well, I had Kawasaki's disease, I had a genetic disease, and they just, body off the side, no big deal. Simple mineral deficiency. Hockey player, Canada. Cause of hockey player's death still unknown. Died of cardiomyopathy heart disease. Now these are 17 kids who died in the first couple of weeks of 2016. There's 10,000 of these that die. These are all dying from cardiomyopathy heart disease. This is the sort of stuff Q does for me. Yeah, all the sports, deaths, sudden deaths, high school graduates, basketball, football, 9-year-olds playing the Pop Warner leagues, cheerleaders. You're gonna have to stop this because doctors, you know what they said they have to do to deal with this? They want more,
Funding.
Money, no.
Funding.
well, it amounts to money, but they want more EKGs of kids now when they're in grade school. I pull my hair out, okay? And so I hope that you understand what I'm sharing with you, so that you will be giving your kids the 90 essential nutrients, 16 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 3 fatty acids, and our sports drink, which has 100 nutrients in it, including these minerals. Okay, let's look at some of the famous Hall of Famers, and I'm going to go through these. You recognize some of the names if you're a basketball fan or wrestling fans. This guy is a cardiologist. I love this story. He's a cardiologist from Brazil who is also on the Brazilian professional soccer team, died during the game. These cardiologists didn't know anything. Okay, so what's the problem here? What is happening? Well, all athletes, whether professional or high school, Olympic, university athletes, you know, somebody who just goes to the gym 3 nights a week, they sweat. They drink expensive water for hydration, which is okay, but sweat is not water. Sweat is a soup that contains all the nutrients floating around your blood. Let's say you're not supplementing, you only have 65, 70 nutrients floating around. Anything much less than 80, you're dead, right? So let's say 65, 70 floating around, and so that's in your sweat. You're drinking water, you're rehydrating, but you're getting negative when it comes to these nutrients, okay? And you get a breakdown. You get a meniscus tear in your knee, you get a rotator cuff in your shoulder, your Achilles tendon blows out, your hamstring goes, you get a tear in you blow out your disc between your vertebrae and your neck, your lower back, you know, lifting weights and squats, all that kind of stuff. Everything's falling apart. BAM! And then you're dead. So we came up for Theo, met him in 1991, and I guess he retired about 4 or 5 years ago. His last 3 years was with the LA Lakers, and his career was over when he called me. Andy Young from the Civil Rights Movement called me. He had bone-to-bone arthritis in both knees. He's only 28 years old. Cartilage pops off his right hip, fractures his wrist catching a pass from a teammate. So to make a long story short, we rebuilt him in 90 days using the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack. We invented Rebound for him. Now Gatorade has 2 nutrients in it. Powerade has 6. And Rebound has 100. Now, if you have somebody you love who's sweating either in their labor, their trade, their work, their avocation, their hobby, or if you're sweating and you're walking,
How about Monster? How many nutrients?
there's 2 nutrients in Monster, B12 and B6.
Bam.
In a band.
And so, after Theo got his position back, because I rebuilt him, he went and passed all the physical. They were all shocked, and he got his physical back, or he passed his physical, so he got his job back with the Atlanta Hawks. And between the time that I rebuilt him and he retired, 14 years later, he made over $140 million in contracts after we rebuilt him. Now, do you think his wife Christina loves me?
You the man.
Christina loves me. Yeah, she is a gem. Okay, I'm going to spend about 5 minutes on this. It's worth it. I've heard of gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and asexual behavior. Okay. Asexual are things like spinsters, both men and women. You know, crazy Aunt Ruthie never went on a date, would not be horrified to be in a car with a guy by herself. Never wants to date. She dies at 72. Never dated. Never held hands with a boy except maybe her dad. And same way with crazy Uncle Frank. All he wants to do is rotate your tires, work on your carburetor. Doesn't want to talk about girls. Knows nothing about sex, girls, or anything like that. They're asexual people. They've been a part of our lives. Everybody knows them. They're part of their family. They're the crazy auntie, crazy uncle, blah, blah, blah. They're one variation on this whole thing here, okay? These are, I'm going to call them congenital events. These are not choices. These kids are born this way. The mama was missing during that 3rd to 7th week of pregnancy when the preoptic hypothalamus part of the brain is forming. I'll show you that part of the brain in a moment, but I'll give you kind of the deal here, and then we'll run through this very quickly and get on to the next thing. The deal goes like this. The preoptic hypothalamus in the brain is supposed to have, by actual count, it was a wonderful study done by Northwestern University in Chicago, where they did autopsies on 600 gay and lesbian transgender people of various ages, and one guy was particularly interested in the brain, and of course I'm a trained neuropathologist, and I did so many autopsies on brains of every kind of animal, like 8,000 humans, and this one professor wanted me to be a neuropathologist, so he directed all my formal coursework that when I was getting my degree in pathology. And so anyway, they counted the number of cells in this preoptic hypothalamus. When there's no cells in there, you're asexual. It's just a little finger-like peninsula just full of fat, and there's no cells in there like there's supposed to be. You're asexual, you're a spinster, both male and female. There's no cells in there, no sex drive in any direction. It has nothing to do with your gender. A spinster, if she were to be artificially inseminated, or if she were to be raped, she could still get pregnant and have a baby. But she's not moved to do that because she's not attracted sexually to anything, right? Same way with a gay fellow. Or let's say go back to the asexual male. If he were, anesthetized and sperm taken from him, like you do for animals to artificially inseminate, basically he could father children because his sperm is so fertile. He's just not moved to have sex with a woman. Or a man, just no sex whatsoever. A dog, nothing. He's not interested. There's two parts of the brain. Over here, let's say instead of having 450 cells, which is what it takes to fill that little organ up, 450 cells fills every nook and cranny. You're straight, okay? You're a fully straight guy or gal, okay? And let's say you only have 200 cells in. And they fall on the side that say chase girls, and you're a boy, you're girl crazy, that's fine. But if those 200 cells fall on the side that says chase boys and you're a boy, you're gay. That's just random chance. And I run into families that have 3 gay sons, 2 gay girls, and 2 transgender boys. All the same kids, the same mom and dad. You know families that have multiples of kids with problems like this. Okay, it's not a choice. And then if all the cells, let's say 200 cells, 100 fall on the side that says chase girls, the other 100 cells say chase boys, you're what? You're bisexual.
Bisexual.
In fact, there was a big article in Glamour magazine last month. Did you read? Anybody read that article?
I wrote it.
Huh?
No.
You wrote it. Yeah, they're talking about the gradients of different sexualities. Okay, and so it's kind of interesting that they're seeing that too. They're starting to write the stories. Anyway, and then there's the transgenders. Now this happens in wild animals. This happens in domestic animals. Okay, we've known this for 200 years in domestic animals. They're called cattle and sheep. They're called free martins. You can Google free martin. It's one word. F-R-E-E-M-A-R-T-I-N, free martin. Now they propose it was a genetic thing based on, especially when it happened in twins, where the blood from one placenta would intermingle with the placenta. They're trying to come up with a reason for this. They never thought nutritional deficiency, right? Okay, so here we go. Now, every holy book for every religion, whether it's Old Testament, New Testament, the Quran, the holy books for the Indian people, okay, and then also the Asian people, the Shinto Japanese, and the Hindu from the Middle East or India and Pakistan. All holy books cover 2 areas of disease. You be okay?
I got a tickle. Sorry.
Okay. Gonna drink something or?
I did.
She'll get it here. That's right. Emergencies are forgiven. But you're going to continue to cough for a while. If that doesn't help you in 2 or 3 minutes, then. Okay. You have water? Okay. All right. I was going to give you one of mine. So anyway, every holy book talks about infectious diseases, plagues and epidemics and leprosy and homosexuality. They never talk about Down syndrome, cleft palate, belly button hernias. Never talk about spina bifida, cerebral palsy, or Down syndrome, which are very easy to see. They might not know what the cause was. They blame it on some, failures to do a good deed or something, and the village is tormented by the, well, whatever. But there's no mention of any of those other birth defects. We know they occurred because pharaohs used to collect babies that had these very obvious birth defects and put them in big jars of alcohol. And over time, these collections became part of the museums and medical schools. In the book Epigenetics, I list the medical schools and the names of these collections of these birth defects that go back 5,000 years ago. It's not like they didn't occur, they were just never of interest to people because it happened all the time, and so they just didn't put them in. The only thing that really moved them to do something, to put it in the book, good books, were homosexuality and infectious diseases. Now, various degrees of difference. When you look at the holy books of the Native Americans, they look at transgenders, they call them two-spirits, they look at them as holy people, and they know them as children, and they raise them as shamans and holy people.
Nice.
They call them two-spirits. And then also in Asia, they tend to look at them in a very understanding or accepting way. But in Europe, okay, and in primarily Europe, they're demonized, okay? And of course, it's not a choice. They're born this way. Because mom was missing something. If you don't want a gay, lesbian, transgender, asexual kid or grandkid, start supplementing 6 months before you're going to get pregnant. Then it won't happen. It's that simple. You can't put the genie back in the bottle after the baby's born. Okay. Upstate New York has the highest rate of transgender deer of any place on earth. This is a female white-tailed deer. It has a Boone and Crockett record set of antlers. This guy shoots this deer from 100 yards away with open sights. He goes up to clean it, dress it, take the guts out. They have to go through the station and register it, and here's his hunting license, all that kind of stuff. They put a tag in the deer's ear, show that he reported it. It's a female. Female white-tailed deer don't have antlers. Well, it turns out, in upstate New York, they have the highest rate of transgender deer. It's kind of like the bearded lady, the circus kind of thing. They also have the highest rate of transgender humans. Because the soil is deficient, and they're eating the same deficient foods as the people. They're raiding the cornfields and the wheat fields. Okay? Get the picture now?
Yes.
Sonny and Cher Bono, Chastity, Chaz, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, Shiloh, Cam John. You see how young they are? When they know they're different than the equipment says? You see, two things are happening. When the sperm fertilizes the egg, you're immediately either an XX female or XY boy. That's drop dead, gonna happen. But the part up here in your brain, the preoptic hypothalamus, that tells you who to chase for sex and